Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checchetto begin Wilson Fisk's all-out war on the superheroes as the mayor of New York makes it illegal for heroes to exist in the city, pitting many, including the Avengers, against him and his new Thunderbolt team. Chip Zdarsky begins the story his brilliant Daredevil run has been building towards with an explosive first issue that sets up Fisk's new power act and how this war really all started because he couldn't see Daredevil's identity thanks to the Purple Children wiping him and everyone else's mind of it. I love that Fisk takes everything to new levels of pettiness, and because of it, he's now brought the full force of the superhero community down on him. Zdarsky in this first issue sets up the tension really damn well, showing us how this affects not just the street level heroes like Moon Knight and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but also top tier Avengers like Iron Man and Captain America, whose inclusions in the story are really quite fun, and I'm really excited to see Tony getting involved in the political side of Fisk's story, while then we have Captain America kind of boots on the ground as a soldier fighting his men. I think that's really cool, we get both sides of that story. The huge twist ending also left me so damn satisfied as a reader of Zdarsky's Daredevil run and everything he's been building towards for Fisk and Matt Murdock. Marco Checchetto continues his stunning work on Daredevil here with just some amazingly cinematic pages and artwork that sells the scale of the story so damn well. There was so much great action this issue, but not only the usual fists and punching and powers action, but also really well rendered character drama, something which has become a major staple of Zdarsky and his Daredevil run and something I always look forward to. Devil's Reign issue 1 was a fantastic setup to Chip Zdarsky's magnum opus, laying down the plot in a great way for new readers and rewarding long-time readers of the Daredevil series with some brilliant hints at what's to come for all of these characters. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Devil's Reign issue 1 heads to the Mediterranean Sea 2 weeks ago, where Mr. Quinn Stormwind is told by his assistant that the Political Futures Group is calling. Una Stormwind says that they'll be there shortly, knowing her brother will be talking about the New York election. Quinn knows that they will, since they put Fisk in the mayor's seat to make life interesting, but then he murdered their friend and scuttled their plans for Hell's Kitchen. Una knows that Tyrone was hardly a friend, but Fisk's unpredictability makes it fun and interesting, and he's like a bull in a china shop they keep setting back up because they own all of the china in the world. Quinn wants to keep the game moving, but Una knows that there is more interesting games to play. 1 week ago in New York, Daredevil meets with Wilson Fisk, who wonders how it came to this. Daredevil knows that the man cornering off the Hell's Kitchen streets would get his attention as Fisk throws a file on the ground. Daredevil says he doesn't have time for these games, but Fisk says that file is nothing, but it should be, knowing that it was in his private safe in his own private home, dimly remembering that he put it there, and he knows that it was about Daredevil's identity. Fisk, however, knows that it's all blank pages, and it's almost like someone switched them out in some sick joke, but that's not what happened, knowing the hero did something to his mind. Daredevil takes off, apologizing since it's called a secret identity for a reason. Fisk knows that he will tear the devil down since no one besides him knows what his Achilles heel is, knowing that it's his guilt. In the present, Mayor Fisk addresses the press, telling them that the city is known for its resilience, having suffered wave after wave of attacks and destruction, all perpetrated by the superheroes, knowing that the symbiotes which rained down on the city were first brought to the earth thanks to Spider-Man, or that the trolls and ice beasts were thanks to Thor. He knows that if they follow the destruction, it always leads back to heroes, and when they dare try and hold the heroes accountable, like the murderer Daredevil, all they get is a slap on the wrist and was free to go back to terrorizing the city. Matt and Elektra watch as Fisk knows that they will no longer allow this, working with lawmakers to draft up the Powers Act, knowing that the government has something similar with heroes under the age of 21. He speaks directly to those with abilities, knowing that anyone who exhibits the use of superhuman powers or commits vigilantism in their city is deemed a threat. He knows they're not above them, and if they wish to help society, then they need to be part of it, not above it like they think they are. Fisk leaves without answering any questions from the press as Mary wonders if that was such a good idea, knowing that they will come for him, but Fisk is counting on it. The news reports on the Power Act, asking Tony Stark what he thinks, but Tony knows they've been there before, and this is a desperate move from a gangster mayor during an election year. The Thunderbolt units are also reactivated by Commissioner Kyle, as Storm says that mutants do not fall under human laws and have diplomatic immunity. Moon Knight is also subject to these new laws, with the Thunderbolts coming after him, but he takes down the soldiers, having to deal with the US agent and the actual new Thunderbolt team. Moon Knight battles the team as elsewhere. Miles Morales saves a girl from a burning building, thanked by the firefighters who want to get the hero some help for smoke inhalation. The Thunderbolts arrive, taking over the situation and tasering the exhausted hero as Captain America emerges from the burning building as well, telling them to leave the young hero alone. One soldier says that in accordance to the Powers Act, Captain America is also under arrest, since he and Spider-Man are criminals. Cap knows that if the law needs to be broken in order to save lives, then he'll do it every time. The soldiers go to remove Miles' mask, but Cap flings his shield at the men, knocking them all down as Miles says that the cuffs he has on are dampening his powers. Luckily, Ben Reilly and the Daredevil show up. The Thunderbolts call in backup, so the heroes all escape down into the sewers, and Daredevil directs them to a nearby utility room they can lay low in. Spider-Man knows that this is crazy, knowing that Fisk would be bad, but not this bad. He wonders what set him off, and Daredevil says it was him and it's his fault. Elektra tells him not to be a fool, as Matt tells the heroes everyone in the world knew who he was, and even though he didn't ask them to do that, Kilgrave's children made the entire world forget. Ben can't believe that Kilgrave's kids have his powers as well, as Matt says that Fisk knows that something is wrong with his mind, and it's his fault since he taunted the villain with his identity. He ponders telling him to see if that might get this all sorted out, but Cap knows that it won't, since they know giving Fisk power could have led to something like this. So it's not Daredevil's fault, and him sacrificing himself won't alter anything. Steve knows that Fisk pushed for this since it's his vendetta, but he's risking the lives of those they swore to protect, and while he can't speak for them all, he is done letting a tyrant stop him from saving lives, not wanting Daredevil to give in to him, since once he does, Fisk will take it all. Sue and Reed Richards, meanwhile, are met by Homeland Security in the Baxter building, who have come to investigate the building and secure anything they find. Reed knows that they have an arrangement with the government when suddenly Doc Ock's arms snap power dampening collars onto the couple. Reed never took Otto for some subordinate type, but Otto knows he has his own ends, recently coming into information on what Reed was cooking up in his lab, so he showed the government what they were doing and convinced them to ignore their deals and arrangements with the government. Sue throws off the guard protecting her, hitting a button on her computer and quickly contacting Ben and Johnny upstairs, telling them of a code X7. Ben and Johnny quickly grab Franklin and Val as Thunderbolts storm in, firing on Ben. Ben protects the children and is angered that they would dare shoot at kids, smashing their men away but stopping, telling them that they are lucky he has other responsibilities as he dives out the window with Johnny, boarding the Fantastic car and racing off, knowing that they need to head to Alicia's and get her and the kids, since things will be getting rough. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones meanwhile walk through the city with Danny, getting news on the arrests, knowing that this is why they don't wear costumes. Suddenly a bus explodes nearby and Luke rushes in to help the people trapped, lifting the bus off a car as Jessica helps the people inside. The bus was blown up by Shocker, who has captured the Darkhawk for the Thunderbolts. Shocker demands that they too put on the dampening cuffs, but Luke crushes them. Shocker blasts the ground around them and the shrapnel and rocks hit people around the area, getting Jessica to question why the hell the villain is doing that. Luke, however, knows he's had enough, grabbing the man's gauntlets and crushing them to dust as Jessica takes down the goons. Luke says that Shocker just graduated from trash to official trash as the crowds around the couple begin filming the fight on their phones. Luke talks to the people directly, saying that Wilson Fisk is a gangster and a fool and a small man who needs to show his power over him, his friends, and the people of the city, and this isn't about heroes, it's about his grip on all of them, but it's actually the people who have the power. Luke knows that he's not Captain America or Mr. Fantastic, he's just a New Yorker like them, and when someone is in trouble, New York helps, and if the mayor wants to stop him, he can come and try. Fisk meanwhile goes to meet Butch, telling his supposed son that he's the new Kingpin now, and his people shouldn't be calling him by his first name since there needs to be some distance. Butch wants to know what his dad wants, so Fisk says that he set things into motion and wanted Butch to know that he's doing this for the city and for him. He tells Butch that being Kingpin is hard and eliminating the superheroes will make things easier for him and hold on to what he's earned and for those he loves. Butch calls him a fool, knowing that he's got nothing to do with superheroes and isn't a supervillain unlike his garish and outdated father. He knows that he will not be goaded into trading punches with the likes of Spider-Man, and Fisk is a joke, and if he continues to poke the bear, they will eat him. Butch tells Fisk to get out of his office since he's got some real meetings to take care of, as Fisk knows this will help his son, needing him to know that as he leaves. After he leaves, Mike Murdock comes in, having overheard everything, thinking that Fisk would murder Butch. Butch knows that Wilson used everything to bring back his other son Richard, so he doesn't think he'll try and murder him now. Mike pours himself a drink, not happy with what Butch did when he killed his predecessor, having worked his way up from being the Owl's henchman to the kingpin of crime. Butch knows that he couldn't have done it without his own Matt Murdock, and Mike knows that looking like his brother is handy sometimes, as he agrees with what Fisk said, and getting rid of the powered people will make life easier. Butch knows they need to make sure Wilson wins this election, otherwise he may come back for his old job. Mike thinks it's lucky he's running for mayor unopposed, as Luke and Jessica pack all of their things up, with Jessica finding Luke's speech a stupid move since it's endangered them. Luke apologizes, but people need to hear it as they leave the house to get Danny out of town. As they leave, they are met by a hooded Tony Stark, as Jessica says that if he was trying to stay discreet, the flashy car is not helping. Tony knows they need to take down Wilson Fisk, but Jess knows that how are they going to do that without overthrowing democracy. So Tony knows that it's actually quite easy, and he's going to do it legitimately since he's going to run for mayor against Fisk. Doc Ock, meanwhile, tells Fisk that Reed's lab is everything he could hope for, as Fisk is glad he got what he wanted, knowing he's just gotten what he wanted as a package has arrived. He goes to meet with the captured Kilgrave, who knows his lawyer is going to have a field day for this, for Fisk getting him out of prison. Fisk shows him the file on Daredevil, knowing its power and its misconception that his rise of power was through the use of his fists and body strength, but it was from finding people's secrets, telling the villain that he amassed files on everyone who mattered, finding all of their secrets out, and now he's using them all since this is his endgame. But the thing is, Kilgrave's file is empty, since there is nothing to use against him, since he has nothing and his kids want him dead. Kilgrave knows that he doesn't need anything, wanting the cell opened, and he'll show Fisk. The cell is open, but before he can tell Fisk to kill himself, Fisk grabs him, beating the villain to death for squandering his amazing gift, and perhaps it's time someone more worthy possessed it, as the Stormwinds meanwhile look over the posters that advertise Fisk's run for the presidency.